Hey guys, how's it going? It's Rita Jean here. We're gonna go over some alignment tips today, mostly focusing on emotional well-being as well as restoration, relaxation, a little bit of restorative yoga. So let's dive in. It's a bit of a series. So the first pose that we're gonna go into, if you have a bolster, amazing. If not, try a few blankets that are stacked together. Otherwise, if you don't have that, use like a couch cushion or a pillow. Try and create some firmness with that option though, folding it in half or some alternative. Okay, so my bolster is about 4 to 6 inches away from the wall. And the easiest way to get up into this is to go sideways, get the buttocks touching completely, and then roll up. And then here's the position. My kneecaps are lifting up towards my hips, and I'm pressing through the mound of the big toe. So this is your access into your spine. So really try and press through the mound of the big toe, like such. Lifting the kneecaps, engaging the thighs, trying to bring the front of the thigh towards the wall. The next little tip here, if we pigeon toe, we're getting this nice internal rotation of the thighs. So my heart is open, my sternum is lifting, my side waist is elongating, and I'm getting this internal rotation. Good. Belly button is relaxed. So women, if you're on your period, don't use the bolster or the blankets, just go straight on the floor, legs up the wall. You're trying to get your butt touching the wall as much as possible. And then again, we were working with a little bit of a pigeon toe so that we can get this internal rotation and the kneecaps lifting upwards. So the purpose of the internal rotation is so that we can get into our pelvis and our spine in a new way, especially if you're working with sciatica or anything like that. We just really wanna start getting this internal rotation of the upper thighs. So that's the first one, staying up in that at least 5 minutes. I like to do it for 10 minutes after work. And as you could see, I was getting a nice heart opening, chest opening in that pose. So my collarbones were spreading wide, the arms were externally rotating, and I was lifting from my heart at that 60-degree angle, forwards and upwards from the center of my sternum. So even as you're laying down in that pose, really try and find that lift, really try and elongate the side waists, and try to relax the navel towards the spine. Good. So there's a lot more we could go over in that pose, but we're gonna go for the series today. So the next pose to get into, this one you'll wanna do for 5 minutes on both sides as well. And so I've got my hip right up against my bolster or my blankets or pillow, whatever you can do. And then this top leg, the foot is right in the saddle of the lower leg. So the top ankle goes right in the arch of the lower ankle. Toes are pointing straight backwards. The toes at the bottom are pointing straight out. So from here, I'm set up, bolsters at my hip. This is a bit of a twist, which is amazing for all of the organs, the spine, and it's also toning. So on our inhalation, we're gonna reach upwards towards the ceiling, extending those side waists long. On our exhalation, we're gonna keep that elongation, and then we're gonna twist over towards the right. So my belly button and everything is twisting. I'm twisting vertebra by vertebra, extending, and the head comes down. You can have your head facing either direction, it's just fine. But you want this nice and tucked up, and here you're just relaxing, releasing, letting go. It's one of my favorite poses of all time for that rebooting that it does to the whole system. And then you'll do your other side. So I'll just flip around and show you the other side. Now I've got my left hip on. I'm extending upwards. And it's through that extension that you find more strength through the spine. And then it's through that exhalation that you're finding the twist and relaxing downwards. And this one you can let go in. So the most important keys to that pose is first getting that elongation nice and tall, because it's through that elongation that we're strengthening the little muscles along each vertebra. And then through that exhalation, we're starting the twist from the base of the spine, working your way up vertebra by vertebra till you get to the top of the head, the neck to turn last. So that's really amazing. I know sometimes the spine gets locked up. Those twists help to reestablish that healthy mobility. The elongation helps to reestablish that stabilization and that strength. So really amazing one for the spine, the organs, and as you'll come to find, on the nervous system as well. So I would set a timer starting with this pose, legs up the wall, 5 minutes. Then do this one, 5 minutes on either side. You can just set your phone timer or whatever. And then finally, this is one of my all-time favorite poses, Setu Bandha. 10 minutes. If you stay in it for 10 minutes, it's really great for resetting the emotional well-being, the mind, the brain. So I start pretty low here. And you might notice I'm actually lifting that armpit chest upwards towards my head, rolling the top shoulders downwards towards my feet. So I'm already working to get a chest opening, and it comes from an internal upliftment and strength. And then I work my way backwards, never turning the head in this pose, just until the shoulders are on the ground. So hopefully, it looks like you can't really see that very well. Let's scoot back. Hopefully you can see this well. Getting that opening of the heart, tops of the trapezius, the shoulders are rolling down the back towards the buttocks, towards the heels. I'm going to actually lift my buttocks to draw the top muscles towards the heels. My palms are facing upwards. And I'm getting this nice heart opening here in the chest. So this is a lymphatic dumping ground. Really important place to keep healthy, especially for women. So what we're doing is we're opening up this area with circulation and blood flow and oxygen, and seeing if you can broaden across your whole chest and relaxing that navel towards the spine. So my diaphragm is getting a nice upwards lift towards my head, as well as descending towards my spine. My knees are together and my feet are wide. So always have your knees almost touching and your feet wider than your actual hips. So I'm getting this external rotation of my arms. I'm actually pressing through the floor with my feet to help me to lift that sacrum, that bone that sits at the top of the buttocks.
That sacrum bone is reaching and lifting up towards the ceiling with all of your strength. And so it takes that pressure in your feet to get that lift. I'm still getting this nice internal rotation of the upper thighs, like we talked about in the first pose. These two pelvic crests are rotating towards each other. The navel is relaxing towards the spine. I'm reaching to get onto the tops of my shoulders. So it's as if I'm lifting away from my bolster. My shoulders are on the floor, but I'm lifting from my chest, from my thoracic spine, up and away from the bolster. Feet are firmly planted into the earth so that I have engagement from the bottom of my body to the top of my head. We want full body engagement. Good, and once you've worked here actively for a while, getting that heart lifting, as though I'm reaching away from my bolster, external rotation of my arms. Then at some point, you just let go, relax, you've done the muscular training, and then you can just rest and restore here, setting that timer for 10 minutes. To come out, you just roll over to your right side, pressing up with that left hand, and then coming up to a seated position. So, as you can see, there's a lot of amazing points we can work with in these postures. Hopefully after doing that little series, you feel really relaxed and peaceful and in your body. That last one is really a reset on the nervous system and the brain and the emotional well-being. So what we're looking for and what it's teaching us is that natural upliftment of the heart. So you can see now just from doing a tiny bit of that action how much more my heart is open. I'm getting a spreading across my collarbones. So I'm really reaching my collarbones wide. I'm relaxing my navel towards my spine, getting a natural lift in the diaphragm. My shoulders, the tops of the shoulders are reaching down the back of the body, and underneath the armpit chest is reaching up towards the ceiling. So I'm getting this action. And at the same time, my face is relaxed, my throat is relaxed, even though my spine is very active, very engaged, working towards finding more length and elongation. And as you can see, I've gotten a new broadening across my rib cage. So this is what we're looking for. A lot of these poses actually teach this, which leads into preparation for pranayama, which we'll go over another time. But for now, just knowing that you're looking for this expansion across the rib cage in all directions, as if it's widening in all directions like such. And that's at the lower rib cage, that's at the mid rib cage, that's at the upper rib cage, all the way to the tops of the shoulders. So now that I have that natural internal upliftment, shoulders relaxing down the back, sternum reaching upwards and forwards at that 60-degree angle, ribs reaching back behind you. Now I'm naturally in a meditative stance. So I'm just gonna sit here for a few moments, allowing my rib cage to expand in every direction at all levels. Inhaling to the top of my breath, pausing for one moment, and then exhaling to the bottom of my breath. But as you can observe, my lungs are like a vase, On the inhalation, they have expanded, but on the exhalation, they don't get smaller. I maintain that expansion that I've found through my inhalation and through my structure, even on the exhalation. In fact, sometimes I'm expanding even more on the exhalation. So working with your rib cage, we often go into belly breathing and we forget what our lungs are for. They're one of our largest elimination organs. So they're so important to utilize and access. And just in everyday life, we cut off certain parts of our lungs and we don't use it to our full capacity. So right now we're just trying to embody that whole rib cage. So I'm expanding in all directions. My heart is lifted. And I'm maintaining that expansion even on the exhalation. So it's important when working in this way to never become short of breath. Just to do your normal breathing, whatever that is to you. And then to challenge yourself once in a while to find that inhalation, that nice pause for one moment, that continued expansion across the ribs, followed by a nice exhalation, and then back to just normal breathing. So never pushing yourself with the breath. That's one that is actually really fragile. It's connected straight to the nervous system. So being really gentle with any of your breathing. Smooth, soft inhalation, smooth, soft exhalation to smooth out that nervous system. And talking about the breath and emotional well-being, maybe you've noticed at some point where you were really scared or something happened and the breath gets short and fast. So in that moment, when the breath is short and fast or shallow, can we just tune into our bodies, take a nice smooth inhalation and exhalation to really slow down and soften and smooth out that breath. I like to practice an equal inhalation to an equal exhalation. This is just really great self-awareness too. Maybe some of us can exhale for 15 seconds, but only inhale for 6, where for others it's the opposite. So just being aware of that. Sometimes it can play over into other aspects of our life. A big exhalation is constantly giving, sometimes giving too much till we're depleted. So just trying to find that equilibrium in your breath for right now. Starting with just a 5-second inhalation, pause, 5-second exhalation, pause. And then you can work your way up to expanding those ribs more, allowing for longer inhalations and exhalations. However, at this time, like I said, don't push yourself with the breath. Take it really mellow and gentle because that's your nervous system that we're working with. In my yoga classes, I am known to challenge the body, very much so, asking you to engage your buttocks, to engage your kneecaps, engage, elongation throughout the spine. So many actions, spreading the collarbones wide, that are physically demanding, physically challenging. But when it comes to the breath, I have a really, really relaxed approach and gentle approach. That's from my studying with my teachers, Brenda, Flemming, Manouso, Manos, all in the Iyengar tradition, and they've just taught me how much to respect the breath and how to take it incredibly gently. So the breath is an amazing tool. that we have in our back pocket with us all the time. So I highly recommend utilizing that tool and just again tuning into the breath, having those smooth, soft inhalations and exhalations at your own pace, and just really trying to work them out. So sometimes there's like a shakiness or a jitteriness to the breath, just working on softening and smoothing that. So that's something you can practice throughout your day. That's something you can practice walking in the park or at your office or doing your yoga practice. So those are just a few little introductions. I hope you enjoy that series. Just gonna close this out with an Om. Feel free to hop in if you want to. I'm really gonna work on uplifting that chest, relaxing that chin slightly downwards. My elbows, I'm pretending that there's 20-pound weights in them, so they're actually reaching to the earth, descending downwards, and that's helping me to find a new opening across my chest, a new broadening across my collarbones, so that I can reach the very southern tips of my scapulas towards the front of the room. And that's all we're looking for, is alignment, equilibrium on the left and the right side, and that elongation of the spine, so that you can just naturally be tapped in, tuned in a space of clarity and strength, regardless of the crazy chaos that might be happening in life. So this is just training for life. Inhaling. Namaste. Thank you all for tuning in. I hope you enjoy this practice. Leave any comments below if you have questions, comments, and would love to answer them. All right, have a good one. Aloha.